Hello, and welcome to another installment of the Psychology of Better Call Saul, a series which attempts to understand the many psychological motivations of the characters in this television show. In this episode, I am going to take a closer look at the character of Howard Hamlin and the way that he serves as an object of displacement for other characters in the show. Howard is not a primary character and is not very psychologically complicated, but he oftentimes seems to be used as a way for the disordered psyches of other characters to alleviate certain unwanted feelings regarding themselves and others. Displacement is an unconscious defense mechanism in which someone experiences unwanted feelings regarding a certain aspect of their life, but instead of directing those feelings towards the object which generated the feelings, they instead direct it towards a neutral object. This unconscious act helps the individual experiencing the feeling to alleviate themselves of needing to confront the object which originally created the feeling. However, still needing to deal with the feeling, they often look to redirect them towards someone who is less threatening, someone who has nothing to do with the original feeling. For the characters Chuck, Jimmy, and Kim, Howard appears to serve as the perfect object of displacement due to his generally friendly attitude and harmless demeanor. Now that we have this information in mind, let's take a closer look at the way others displace feelings onto Howard. In Season 1, Episode 9, we see Jimmy in a meeting with Howard and Chuck in order to discuss the future of the Sandpiper case. Jimmy has been expecting to join HHM, but Howard tells him that they are willing to take on the case, but unwilling to take on Jimmy. It seems that Howard is being unfair and cruel, and Jimmy is confused as to why they are making this decision. Howard seems firm in his stance, but we later learn that it was in fact Chuck's decision not to take Jimmy into the firm, as Chuck has always been opposed to Jimmy being a lawyer. We see how Howard is forced to serve as a receptacle for Chuck's displaced feelings about Jimmy. Instead of telling Jimmy directly what he thinks, Chuck uses Howard as the fall man, removing himself from the line of fire. When Jimmy says,
"Well, I know that you hate me, Howard. All right. You better believe feeling goes both ways."
Howard seems uncomfortable and looks down. Meanwhile, Chuck is the one who Jimmy should be saying these words to, but instead, he sits by unscathed. Chuck later says,
"I don't know what to say. I am very disappointed. I really think you should reconsider."
emphasizing Howard as a tool for removing himself from the situation. In Season 2, Episode 2, Howard goes to Chuck's house and informs him that Jimmy is now working with Davis and Maine. Despite the fact that Jimmy is no longer involved with HHM, Chuck seems to be overly concerned with Jimmy working as a lawyer in any capacity. Howard informs Chuck that he did not stand in the way of the move, while Kim also seemed to be a proponent of the hiring. Then, in Season 2, Episode 4, we see again how Howard is being used as the mouthpiece for Chuck, only this time, Kim is the one involved. Howard is doing all the talking and is explaining how he is upset that Kim did not inform them about the advertisement Jimmy put on air without permission. Kim had little to do with the commercial, but it seems that the anger being directed at her is not about the commercial at all. Chuck is still upset that Kim helped Jimmy get hired by Davis and Maine, and he is choosing this as the opportunity to express the feeling via Howard. Howard is the conduit for Chuck's unwanted and inexpressible feelings. At the end of the scene, when Kim leaves the office, Chuck asks Howard, "What are you going to do?" The real question should be, what is Chuck going to make Howard do? Later in the episode, Kim has been sent to document review, a decision most likely made by Howard due to the redirection of Chuck's anger. Displacement is a psychological defense mechanism in which a person redirects a negative emotion from its original source to a less threatening recipient. A classic example of the defense is displaced aggression. If a person is angry but cannot direct their anger towards the source without consequences, they might take out their anger on a person or thing that poses less of a risk. In Season 4, Episode 1, Howard comes to Jimmy's apartment to speak with he and Kim following Chuck's funeral. Howard mentions HHM's increase in malpractice insurance as a critical point of events concerning Chuck's mental health and his eventual death. Howard comes filled with guilt and states that he believes he is at fault for Chuck's death, a result of forcing him to leave the firm during the 3rd season. Jimmy is initially concerned when he hears about the malpractice insurance, since he was the one who spoke to the insurance company about Chuck's condition. But as soon as Howard says he himself may be at fault, Jimmy instantly seems relieved and says,
"Well, Howard, I guess that's your cross to bear."
Jimmy has found a way to displace his guilt about Chuck onto Howard. Even though he realizes that he is the real reason for Chuck's downfall, he is unconsciously resorting to pushing that blame off himself. Jimmy proceeds to feed his fish, while Howard looks more devastated than he did before he entered the apartment. In Season 4, Episode 2, Kim goes to Howard's office in order to receive the bequeathments from Chuck's estate. Kim seems agitated as soon as she enters the room and asks Howard,
"What were you thinking when you came to Jimmy on the day of his brother's funeral and laid that shit on him?"
in regards to him coming to Jimmy's house to speak about Chuck's death. Kim then says,
"I guess you just saved that one for Jimmy."
Kim, I didn't do it to hurt Jimmy.
No, you did it to make yourself feel better.
That's
to
not
make
what I was
yourself
trying to do.
feel better by unloading your guilt. Who cares what it does to Jimmy, right? As long as Howard Hamlin is okay.
Kim becomes furious with Howard about several different things which seem to be out of Howard's control. Kim is dealing with many different feelings which she is attempting to displace onto Howard. Not only is she upset with Jimmy about the fact that he himself unloaded his guilt onto Howard in the previous episode, but Jimmy has also been unable to process what has occurred and is going on with life as if nothing had happened. On top of that, Kim is most likely experiencing a great deal of guilt herself, since she was part of the trial against Chuck, previously stating that she felt all they did was tear down a sick man. Instead of dealing with these feelings in a more direct or productive way, Kim pushes everything onto Howard. Howard is already doing poorly, and so he is unable to defend himself or put up a fight. He is serving as the perfect object for displacement. The anger you are feeling at your boss is eventually released, but in an indirect way. The consequences of yelling at your roommate or scolding your children are likely to be less severe than if you had taken out your frustration at your boss or coworkers. The object or person that becomes the subject of displaced feelings can vary, but is usually chosen because it is less threatening or even powerless. In Season 4, Episode 5, Jimmy sees Howard in the courthouse restroom. Howard looks like a wreck and is talking about how poorly the firm is doing and how he hasn't been sleeping well either. Howard is in a dark place due to the guilt he is carrying, his own guilt plus the guilt that has been displaced onto him by both Kim and Jimmy in previous episodes. Jimmy had previously been told by Kim to see a therapist since he has been unable to process Chuck's death, but he has been putting off this task the whole season and finds the perfect opportunity in this scene to suggest the service to Howard instead, even handing him the business card that Kim gave to him. Jimmy is able to distance himself further from the feelings of guilt he needs to deal with. Jimmy is able to convince himself that Howard is in need of professional help instead of himself, which is the farthest thing from the truth. In Season 4, Episode 6, Jimmy is still working at the cell phone store, essentially wasting time on a daily basis. He is working towards his scheme of selling drop phones to criminals, which does not rank much higher than his work at the store. When Kim tells him that she is going to start working with Schweigart, essentially receiving a promotion, Jimmy does not react well and seems to disassociate when he leaves the room to take a break for a minute. When he returns to the table, he acts as if everything is fine, but obviously he is unable to deal with this news. Later, Jimmy goes to receive a check from Howard, and it seems that HHM isn't doing well, as Howard states that they are needing to lay people off. Jimmy proceeds to talk down to Howard and says,
"Get your shit together, Howard." Excuse me?
Oh, please. You suffer one little setback and you're going to let your entire legacy go?
Hey, you're a shitty lawyer, Howard. But you're a great salesman. So get out there and sell.
These are questions and comments that Jimmy should be asking or saying to himself, due to his inability to make changes in his life. He is ignoring all the warning signs in his life and is instead able to find the faults in what others are doing. Instead of dealing with the strife that may come along with challenging himself and repairing the damage he has done, Jimmy resorts to displacement again, with Howard being the target. In Season 5, Episode 4, Howard has invited Jimmy out to lunch as an attempt to making amends for past wrongs. Howard seems to have had a spiritual awakening and is wanting to offer Jimmy a position with HHM. He seems very genuine and like he doesn't have a bad feeling within him, further evidenced by his new license plate, Namaste. Howard and Jimmy have gone opposite ways since last season. Howard has been able to resolve his guilt about Chuck's death. Meanwhile, Jimmy has not processed Chuck's death at all and is now becoming involved with the criminal underground and daily, shady dealings. Jimmy doesn't seem to like the disparity between their separate paths, as he sees the person he has become is nowhere close to the person Howard has become. Jimmy proceeds in the next few episodes to harass Howard by throwing bowling balls into his car and harassing him with prostitutes in the restaurant he is eating at. Again, instead of addressing his own issues and deal with his feelings about himself, Jimmy redirects them towards Howard. Displacement not only takes effect when there are feelings created by others that we don't want to deal with, but also when we experience negative feelings about our own shortcomings. In Season 5, Episode 7, Jimmy has just let out of the court case where he is defending Lalo. Jimmy's conscience seems to be getting the best of him at this point, and we see how his internal processes seem to be making him question his decisions, as he consciously knows he is defending a murderer of an innocent victim. As he views the victim's family leave the courthouse, Howard approaches him and confronts him about the pranks Jimmy has pulled. Not only does Howard look through Jimmy's persona, but he catches Jimmy when he is dealing with very painful and distressful feelings. The timing is perfect for Jimmy, offering him the chance to unleash all the hate and displeasure he should be feeling about himself and redirect those feelings towards Howard. Jimmy begins yelling at Howard, telling him how small of a person he is and how the offer he has made to Jimmy means nothing. Unfortunately, all these words make no difference to Howard, as they would be much more effective if they were directed instead towards Jimmy. When used appropriately, defenses such as displacement protect us from negative feelings, help minimize disappointment, protect our self-esteem, and manage stress levels. Displacement can protect us from anxiety by hiding things that are stressful or unacceptable to us and helping to preserve our sense of self. But defense mechanisms like displacement can also be unhelpful if people rely on them too heavily or when they lead to problematic behaviors and interactions with others. Overuse of these mechanisms has been linked to psychological distress and poor functioning. Finally, in Season 5, Episode 10, Kim is at the courthouse and runs into Howard. Howard informs her of all the pranks that Jimmy has pulled on him throughout the season and how Jimmy flat out denied everything when confronted by Howard. He tells her that Jimmy needs some help, as he is also concerned with Kim's well-being. As mentioned in my previous video about Kim's reaction formation, at this point of the show, Kim is in complete denial of all wrongdoing on Jimmy's part, and part of her identity seems to be directed around defending Jimmy's behaviors. Kim responds, "I know Jimmy, and you're wrong." Kim may say this and believe it consciously, but on an unconscious level, she knows that Howard is right, and that Jimmy does need help, as she had recommended the therapist to him earlier. But Kim is unable to deal directly with the actual feelings she has about Jimmy and her relationship any longer. Instead, she needs to redirect the feelings elsewhere. Not only does Kim use the public defense as one form of redirection, but later in the episode, we hear her talk about going after Howard and attempting to make him lose his law license. All the feelings that have built up over the seasons about Chuck's death, Jimmy's inability to change, Kim's lowering of morals, and their destructive relationship have not been confronted or dealt with in any sense. They have only been dealt with indirectly, and once again, Howard comes into play as a tool for each character's distressful feelings. This concludes this installment from the series on Better Call Saul. Please watch my other videos regarding other characters if you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for watching.